Ladies and gentlemen, it seems like where one drug begins, another one begins, and then another one begins, and then another one begins. Boy, this thing has spiraled completely out of control. They seriously cannot control this thing. Overshadowed by opioids, meth is back with a vengeance. A surge in hospitalizations and deaths is just totally off the radar, said one addiction researcher. Nobody is paying attention. You know why? Because these addictions have gone on for so long in America. It's easy for people not to just become desensitized and not pay attention to it anymore. So this came out November 27th, 2018. The number of people hospitalized because of amphetamines use is skyrocketing in the US. But the resurgence of the drug has largely been overshadowed by the nation's intense focus on opioids. It is just so many drug addictions going on all at one time. Amphetamines. Okay. Sorry about that. Got a little interruption there. So, amphetamine related hospitalizations have jumped up 245% from 2008 to 2015, according to a study published last month in the Journal of American Medicine Association. That dwarfs the rise in hospitalization from other drugs, such as opioids, which are up by about 46%. The most significant increases were in Western states. The surge in hospitalizations and deaths due to amphetamines is just totally off the radar, says Jane Maxwell, an addiction researcher. Nobody is paying attention. Doctors see evidence of the drug's comeback in emergency departments where patients arrive agitated, paranoid, and aggressive. Paramedics and police officers see it on the streets, where suspects' heart rates are so high that they need to be taken to the hospital for medical clearance before being booked into jail. And medical examiners see it in the morgue, where in a few states, such as Texas and Colorado, overdoses from meth have surpassed those from the opioid heroin. Wow. But I do know this resurgence has been going on now for, I would say, the last few years. They have been talking about the second epidemic of meth making a huge comeback. And as you can see, it really has already. Amphetamines are stimulant drugs which are both legally prescribed to treat attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and produce illegally into methamphetamines. Most of the hospitalizations in the study are believed to be due to methamphetamine use. Commonly known as crystal meth, methamphetamines was popular in the 1990s before laws made it more difficult to access. All right, which is very true. I knew people that were on meth, and you couldn't pay me to be on that stuff. Some of those folks are up for days. They literally get no sleep when they're high on that mess. They are up for they can go for a long time without sleep. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And as you can see, when you see the before and after pictures, you can understand why they look that way. because they just go for so long with no rest, no sleep. It's almost like they go from being young to being elderly in a short period of time when you look at many of these meth addicts. As opioids become harder to get, police said, more people have turned to meth, which is inexpensive and readily available. And I also heard the meth that comes over from Mexico is a lot more pure than what they used to make in meth labs here in America. Lupita Ruiz, 25, started using methamphetamines in her late teens, but said she has been clean for about 2 years. When she was using, she said her heart beat fast, she would stay up all night, and she would forget to eat. Ruiz, who lives in Spokane, Washington, said she was hospitalized twice after having mental breakdowns related to methamphetamines use, including a month-long stay in a psych ward in 2016. One time, Ruiz said she yelled at and kicked police officers after they responded to a call to her apartment. Another time, she started walking on a freeway, but doesn't remember why. It just made me go crazy, she said. I was all messed up in my head. The federal government estimates more than 10,000 people die of meth related overdoses last year. But I'm wondering how many states are reporting the meth death, because we know all of the states are not reporting the opioid deaths. So that's the question. Deaths from meth overdose generally result from multiple organ failure or heart attacks and strokes caused by extraordinary pulse rates and skyrocketing blood pressure. In California, the number of amphetamine related overdose deaths rose by 127%. Oh my goodness. From 456 in 2018 to 1,036 in 2013. At the same time, the number of opioid related overdose deaths rose by 8.4%, from 1,784 to 1,934, according to the most recent data from the State Department of Public Health. It's your it's your taxes, your first responders, your emergency rooms, your coroners. Robert Pennell, a retired supervisor with the California Department of Justice. It's an incredible burden on the health system. Costs also are rising. Okay. Well, yeah, of course it is. I mean, each time, the longer these drug addictions go on, the more costly it's going to be for hospitalizing these people. Okay. So the cost of amphetamine related hospitalizations jumped from 436 million in 2003 to nearly 2.2 billion by 2015. Medicaid was the primary payer. Wow, that is a lot of money to be paid out on drug addiction. And that they're just talking about meth. You're not even talking about the heroin overdoses, the opioids, you know, wow, that is a lot of money. There is not a day that goes by that I don't see somebody acutely intoxicated on methamphetamines. Wow. It's a huge problem and it is 100% spilling over into the emergency room. Well, I believe that. In the short term, the drug can cause a rapid heart rate and dangerously high blood pressure. In the long term, it can cause anxiety, dental problems, and weight loss. You see people as young as their 30s with cognitive congestive heart failure, as if they were in their 70s. Yeah, yeah. I mean, when you watch even on YouTube these folks that are high on meth, listen to how fast they speak. They start speaking rapidly. They're what they call tweaking or whatever they call it. I mean, you can clearly tell these folks are really messed up, but they go for years on that meth. And as time goes on, you can just look at them and look at their face, and you can see they're messed up on meth. It's got to be doing more than just their heart. I would imagine their brains are getting jacked up on that stuff too. I mean, it's an unnatural substance. You're taking something really unnatural and you are abusing it and getting high on it all the time. So I'm not surprised. But I will leave the link to this article in the description box. But this, ladies and gentlemen, this is on top of what's already going on out here as far as drug addiction. It is so much going on. I think between the illness and all of the drug addiction going on in the country, it is so many things going on at once. And by the way, there is another lunar eclipse that's coming January 20th, I believe. Can you imagine how, I mean, this place has already gone downhill. Can you imagine how much further it's going to go? Whew, it is hard to imagine. But please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.